This road is very special. It brought people together. It was a journey of a lifetime. This was the last part of a fantastic journey, a memorable journey, in fact, a journey that would never be forgotten.
The pilgrimage road and the Brechat HaShiloach, the pool of Siloam, it really enables us to do something which is so hard to do, to go back in time, to go back into history. It brings the Bible to life.
The last lap, the last 600 meters of this journey took place on the pilgrimage roads that we are excavating now.
I have people working here from all over the world, and they have one thing in common: the passion for Jerusalem, the passion for this project. They want everyone to be part of what we feel every day.
One of the challenges when it comes to Jerusalem is you have a modern, thriving city. And beneath that city is thousands of years of history with significance to billions of people around the world. The question is, how can you have the best of both worlds? Preserve the modern, uncover the ancient. So when we left the Pool of Siloam, the question was, how did the millions of pilgrims 2,000 years ago get from the Pool of Siloam all the way up to the Temple Mount? We are walking, standing right now on the answer. We are standing right now on the 2,000-year-old pilgrimage road. This is the road that our ancestors, all of ours as Jews, but Jews and Christians 2,000 years ago, this is the road that our ancestors would have walked on when they went on pilgrimage from the Pool of Siloam up to the temple on the Temple Mount. Not a road near here, not stones that look like these. This road, these very stones. Modern Jerusalem, the modern neighborhood of the city of David, is about 60 feet above our heads, with Jewish families, Muslim families living above us, day-to-day normal life in Jerusalem, and beneath it is a discovery with significance to billions of people around the world.
How much care did you take to preserve the integrity of the buildings above?
A lot. Right? We're talking about a place, Jerusalem, with extreme sensitivity. Religious sensitivity, political sensitivity, environmental sensitivity, cultural sensitivity. You can't make mistakes here. Right? It would make your job a lot harder if there were mistakes here in the city of David. And therefore, the engineering here alone, forgive the pun, but it's literally groundbreaking technology. Because if you go, for instance, to San Antonio, the Alamo today is covered up, much of the Alamo is covered up by modern, urban San Antonio. And the question is, how do you then preserve or uncover a site like the Alamo, or you go to Rome or Greece, uncover an ancient city that's covered up by a modern one? And so the technology that we're using here is one that allows the modern city to flourish while using engineering that allows us to uncover the ancient.
You know something, for a guy who is claustrophobic, hates crowded places, I don't feel claustrophobic here at all. Done an incredible job. This place is open, it's beautiful, and it's ancient at the same time.
And 2,000 years ago, what you see here, this expanse, would be about 5 or 6 times wider than what you see here right now. What the archaeologists are doing right now is working on a north-south connection to connect the Pool of Siloam to the footsteps of the Temple Mount, the western wall, the southern steps. Then the archaeologists will make the east-west expansion, because this is a road, again, that millions of people would have been walking on 2,000 years ago.
You know, Ambassador, they don't always speak about courages and profile and diplomacy, but you've experienced them numerous times over the course of your job. Zev was just explaining a breakthrough on the north-south process. You led a delegation of senior U.S. administration officials for the breakthrough process, symbolizing another milestone of completing this road. Why you thought it was important to stay strong? It would have been easier to stay home.
There are unfortunately a lot of political currents in Israel, throughout the world, throughout Europe, even throughout the United States, that are uncomfortable with the history of Jerusalem. But the history of Jerusalem is the history of Jerusalem. These are facts. And right here, these are demonstrable facts. These ancient flagstones that people walked, we can still walk it today. And to me, the worst thing you can do in the interest of the United States, in the interest of Israel, in the interest of our democracy, our heritage, the worst thing you can do is to ignore or to deny the truth.
And Zev, this is actually a place that we love to stop when we get to come up here. Will you tell us a little bit about this
So
location?
this is the only one of its kind found in Jerusalem. It's a raised platform of some kind. It's actually the original Speaker's Corner, Hyde Park, 2,000 years ago. And imagine someone comes here. Josephus, the historian, says millions of people are going down to the pool to purify, going up to the temple to worship. You have along us here homes, shops. If somebody needs to get an offering for the temple service, maybe a bottle of water, a hat, a souvenir for someone at home, this is where the beating heart of Jerusalem is 2,000 years ago. We're standing on the biblical superhighway. So that means that there are people here, if somebody has a religious message, a political message, an ethical message they want to preach, where are they going to do it? They're going to go where the people are. This is where the people are. So you would have someone 2,000 years ago get up here on top of this platform, this podium, and it's important to point out, all of this 2,000 years ago is under the sky. This is not underground 2,000 years ago. So you're outside, you stand up here, and if you're interesting, people are going to stop and listen to what you have to say, and if not, the next guy will get up and give it a go. Now, I was asked not long ago by a senator in D.C. He says, what are the chances that Jesus was here? That he walked on this road, that perhaps stood up on...
I know the answer.
Yeah, what's the answer?
100%.
There you go. That's what I said. I said, Senator, I don't want to tell you stories. Let me give you a conservative estimate. The likelihood that he walked on this road 2,000 years ago, 100%. So he says to me, how do you know? It's well, very simple. If you believe there was a historic Jesus 2,000 years ago, he was in Jerusalem, and even more so, he was Jewish. He would have gone with all the Jews down to the Pool of Siloam, purified on the pilgrimage festivals like Passover, come up along this actual road, the pilgrimage road, through the city of David, and come out by the footsteps of the Temple Mount. The Pool of Siloam in the city of David, we know 100% is the Pool of Siloam from 2,000 years ago from the time of Jesus. The pilgrimage road being excavated in the city of David, we know 100% is the pilgrimage road from 2,000 years ago. The Temple Mount, the western wall, the southern steps, we know 100% that it's the same one from 2,000 years ago, which means in a few years' time, people of all faiths and backgrounds from all over the world will be able to walk on the actual flagstones, visit the same pool, visit the same southern steps, western wall, Temple Mount that their ancestors walked on thousands of years ago.
People always say, what was your preparation for this job? Now you have the ultimate podium to deliver your message, but prior to having that podium, you were still delivering a message. I think less people listened, but you were delivering a message of truth, which is what this is all about. I know you carry something with you to deliver that message of truth.
I've always felt, and I got this from my father, who was an extraordinary person and a great rabbi. My guess is that his forefathers probably stood on one of these podiums and preached thousands of years ago. But what I got from him was the centrality of Jerusalem, not just to the Jewish people, and not just to the Christian faith, but to the modern world, to the values that are essential to modern civilization. And by the way, even at, when I went to secular university, I went to Columbia, it was reinforced, and it's something you wouldn't expect, going off to modern universities today. But even when I went to college, those points of view were reinforced. And it really hurt me that there were people that purported to be serious people, serious academics, that would simply deny the connection of Jerusalem to the values that we hold and to the Jewish people of the Jewish faith, people of the Christian faith. So, I wasn't in this business, I haven't been in this diplomatic business very long. Before that I was a lawyer. In those days I made a good living. And I said, what am I going to do with my money? So I tried to collect things that would connect the ancient Jerusalem to modern times. So, I have a whole bunch of things, but I like these coins. These are the shekel coins that were minted during the period of the Second Temple, right? So the temple was destroyed in the year 70. In the year 65, the Jews revolted against the Romans. They took control of the temple, right? And when you control the temple, you control the minting process, because the coins were minted in that complex. And all of a sudden, the Jewish people started minting their own coins, right? And this is from the year 66, right, of the Common Era. It's a half shekel, and it's written in the ancient Hebrew text, right? And Zev, you know this well. But it says here on one side, it says, Yerushalayim HaKadoshah, Jerusalem the Holy. And on the other side it says, Shekel Yisrael, a shekel of Israel. In the year 66, they were transacting business with the shekel. In the year 2020 in Israel, transacting business with the shekel. A lot has changed, but miraculously, a lot has also remained the same. And that's the power of this place, to see how, not just to go back into history, right, but to bring it alive in modern times, to make the Bible come alive, to make ancient times come alive, to immerse yourself in this experience where you can put yourself in the same footsteps as whether your prophet is Jesus or your prophet is Hezekiah or your prophet, whoever it is, whoever you hold, whoever's truths you hold and hold close to your heart, whatever values are close to your heart, you put yourself in those shoes and you walk up this road and you feel it. You don't just see it, but you feel it. It's very powerful, and that's why I come here so often, and that's why to you and your team that have worked on creating this this heritage site for hopefully our children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren, you have our eternal gratitude.
Ambassador, not only for all of our friends at CPAC who are sitting there, especially those on the college campus, we know that you go to metaphorical battle each and every day. First of all, come here and understand the truth, become imbued with the truth, but just out of curiosity, now as a person who's well ensconced in your beliefs, the son of a rabbi who's known this, has been here, open up and obviously, how often do you carry that coin with you?
Well, this one, I have a whole bunch at home, but this particular one, I just keep in my wallet because you never know when someone's going to look you in the eye and say, there were no Jews in Jerusalem 2,000 years ago, and I say, okay, well, and I pull it out. And it's proof, and it's a much more compelling case than anything I can say verbally, so I keep it around.
Just on a daily basis, he carries it with him. It is an unbelievable thing. It's a lesson to all of you, wherever you go. If you find that one thing that speaks to the truth, you keep it with you and have that confidence. Some of us have these battles in places that are pretty lonely. You carry the truth with you. Know the ambassador Zev and the whole city of David and the city of Jerusalem is with you where you go.
You know, it's amazing standing here. You can visit the pyramids in Egypt. You can go to the Colosseum in Rome. This road here, the pilgrimage road in the city of David, is different. And I'll tell you why. The Egypt that built the pyramids, long gone. You can visit them in museums. The great Roman Empire that built the Colosseum, also visit them in museums. This road is not history. This road is a continuation of a story. Because the people who walked this road 2,000 years ago are going to walk it again in a short time once this is opened up. It's the same people, the same faith, the same heritage, the same values and traditions. Where do you find something like that? It's an amazing thing to see that our shared connection, the Jewish connection to Jerusalem, the Christian connection to Jerusalem, the connection that our two countries share to Jerusalem, it's not just a matter of faith, it's a matter of fact, and you won't find anywhere in the world a half mile with greater significance, with more significance to more people than the half mile that we're standing on right now, that runs from the Pool of Siloam at the southern end of the city of David, up along the pilgrimage road to the Temple Mount. This is the most significant half mile in the world, and in just a few years' time, CPAC will do a satellite event in DC or Maryland, and the conference is going to be here on the pilgrimage road, because this is where, in just a few years' time, you're going to have millions and millions of people coming here to literally walk in the footsteps of our shared heritage.
And you know, that same respect that we share for the pilgrimage road is also respect that has driven much of the policy of the Trump administration to Israel at large, whether our respect for Israeli sovereignty over Hebron, right, which Abraham purchased to bury his wife in the book of Genesis, or Beit El, where Jacob slept under a rock and saw a ladder ascending to the heaven with angels going back and forth, right? Or Shiloh, where the tabernacle rested before the temple was built in Jerusalem. These are all places that should be brought back to life. They're hard to get to right now. They're very inaccessible, unlike Jerusalem, where the government of Israel has already opened it up and made it available to millions and millions of people a year. These other places as well, they're very important to our collective identity, whether Jews or Christians. Those of us who see the Bible as a source for who we are today and how we live today, all of that is something that's going to come back to life under the Trump administration.
I mean, Ben-Gurion, the first prime minister of Israel, said to live in Israel, to be a realist, you have to believe in miracles. We started off way down there with the burst sewage pipe. And, the archaeologists come in and find this. You know, the ambassador spent his whole life training to be the ambassador to Israel. Obviously, he was on the trajectory, which is obviously not the case. You've discovered and you've explained so many times that just being here and seeing the journey that you've taken is an act of God. It's an act of pure miracle to be here. And really to see both of you approach your jobs every day as a blessing and as a new opportunity. We should all take that value from the meaning and the purpose that we have to serve.